It totally cut me off. But I said, oh, that makes so much more sense. I said, to have the fruits the way that you are describing them has got to have meaning in this in the long run. I said, because that tells me more about corruption. That talks more about the churches. That talks more about things that God talks about, the Pharisees and flipping the tables and making people see things differently. And in his time and in his era. And I go, okay. I go, I get you. I can roll with this. I said, we can see the perspective of this differently. That gives us an authority differently today. And I said, okay, I get where you're going, God. I totally get where you're taking your soldiers. I totally get where you're taking all of this. And I go, God, go. Because I've said this many, many times to many people, I think. And I've said, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So what do you do with that? Do you run in fear? Do you ignore it? Do you sweep it under the rug? Do you face the battle? Do you say, okay, maybe I've been wrong in some things. Maybe I have to look at things differently. So I always go inward in my confusion. I always do now. I don't question, how do I word this? I don't question God in it. I question my flesh in it. That's the best way I can say that. I question my flesh in godly moments. And when you look at Jesus's walk and you look at the prophets of the time, I picture Enoch because I watched a video about Enoch and the heavens and how he got to the heavens, and I said, that is fascinating because we can see those realms now. And when you see it, when you have a visual of that, see, when you read the Bible, what is your visual? What is your description of that? See, that is an image when you're reading something. You are coming up with your character. You are coming up with what you think it was like in that time, and you hear pastors say this. They'll be like, I could only imagine that he's really saying it like this. And then we talk about it in today's language. We interpret it in a way that people could understand now, right? And I go, that is the different languages. That's the interpretations that you keep talking about biblically, I think. Because otherwise, how else are we going to bring nations together? That doesn't make sense to me any other way. I don't speak Spanish, but I love tacos. I don't know how else to word that to you. We do not judge like that. Yeah, you shouldn't judge like that, but we're all human. And that's the most important part that God keeps trying to remind us of every single day in our suffering. When you're suffering in it, you will go 10,000 directions within your feelings, within your mind space, within your heart space, within your direction and understanding. And yes, you're going to fight Jezebel, and you're going to fight narcissism, and you're going to fight ego, and you're going to fight pride, and you're going to fight so many things in your flesh, in your perspective and understanding of things, because you are living in your journey with Him, in your relationship with God. It's not everybody, I'm shaking. It's not everybody else all the time. But it's not always not you. So you have to check yourself. You have to step back. And this is where I run back into my isolation, you guys. I run into my isolation because I go, in my fear, not fearing people. Sometimes, yeah, I think so. But you're not always fearing people. I think I run back into my isolation because I fear of, what if I don't get it right with God? What if I don't discern this correctly? What if, and so you have those what ifs that take you back. And I ask God to stop those what ifs in me. And I ask God to bring me back out in those fears of understanding you. I ask God a lot of, show me it differently. Because if I am to shift with you, if we are to move with you, if we are to groove with you, if we are to flow and vibe and do you in it and let you lead in that, how do we do that? Well, you have to know the walk. You have to know the journey. So you go back biblically and you know Jesus's walk. You know his journey. You know what he went through. And so then you step back and you go, well, if he's in us, if we carry the light, then that reflection has to be of Jesus somehow. And so you look at your walk. You look at your circumstances. You look at things differently, not in a selfish, prideful way, but you go back and you go, wow, had I seen God in what I see God in now, my perspective would have been completely different. But then I go, would it have? Because if that's the God we serve, then all of that was meant to happen. All of that was supposed to go that way for that time, for that season, for that era. And I'm not always going to get it right. You're not always going to get it right. We're not perfect. And that humility grounds us. It grounds us in understanding God differently in it. It's not a, let me think of the wording. How you see your pride and your ego depends on how you flip the way that you're going to see the fruits in that. And Jezebel, narcissism, pride, ego, those are high, powerful words. This is good, God. Those are high, powerful words of authority. Depending on how you see authority. So, if you now take that narcissism, you take that Jezebel, you take that ego, you take that pride, you take that pity party, you take that suffering, you take that knowledge, that understanding, and you flip the wording, you flip the way that you see it, and you take that wisdom, you take that knowledge pridefully, with honor, with respect, with an understanding of who God is and who he says you are in it. You do it differently. I don't know how else to explain this to people. You know, I don't know astrology. I don't study astrology. I just know stars. I know enough to know who I am in it. I'm a Sagittarius, and my traits of a Sagittarius are freaking spot on. And I go, that is scary. I did one of those tests before, the letter test. I don't even remember what letter I was, but it said how charismatic I am, and I went, wow, that's spot on. Your authenticity, who you are, who God says you are in it, doesn't have a wall. It doesn't. He's sovereign. He's infinite. He's ongoing. So your limitation is based on what is my question to you. What are we limiting in our understanding of God moving forward? And we have a whole bunch of perspectives now if you are willing to do that. If you are willing to see it that way, God will show you that way. But sometimes we stop ourselves in our ego and our pride and our selfishness and our whole bunch of things. And why? Why do we do this? Because we're human. God knew that in our creation. He knew what he was doing in it. We question that. And we should. You know, I say that we need science. I say that we need astrologers. I say this all the time, that we need different perspectives. And then that way we can go back biblically and look at it differently. And use his words to understand them today. Because if we don't, then we're losing the purpose of what God has for us in it. But it's a struggle. It's a war zone. It's a lot of things. But that's why we tell you all it is a spiritual battle. We know that. Those of us who know him, those of us who understand the Bible, those of us who are living it out, those of us who are boots on the ground, those of us who are fleshly suffering, fleshly building, fleshly trying to find a foundation, man, there's times we're digging and we're digging and we're digging and we're going, we got this much and we have this much to go. You know, it's like, I say it's like eating a spaghetti. Dude, you have a huge plate of spaghetti and you eat so much and you look at it and you go, did I even eat any of it? Because the plate is still so huge. And you go, does it ever get empty? You know, and yes, there are times you're depleted. There are times when you're done. There are times when you say, I'm throwing in the towel. There are times when you go, I can't do this anymore. And God goes, yes, finally. But you got to see that in it. I still go through it, but some way, somehow, through God's words, I'm learning how to do it differently. I'm journaling it. I'm saying it. I'm being it. I'm doing it. And if you can do that today, then you are profoundly showing God in that. And we should be preaching it. We should be saying it. We should be doing it. He tells us we should prophesy. He tells us all these things. I don't have a degree. I everything I've always started, I've never finished. I have ADHD. I have OCD. I work things out differently. I cannot do a 9-to-5. I cannot sit at a desk. I cannot... my world doesn't work like that. And I tell people all the time what's happening in your world, because our views, our visions, where we live, how we live, the community we're in, the places we are look completely different than it does to other people. And you see that and you go, that's incredible, your perspective of things. You know, and you go, okay, I can roll with this. And you just kind of roll with it because you just go, I can't change people. Like you can't, only God can change people. You know, and you go, I see that, God, thanks. I got that. Check that one off. Like you just kind of flow with it. And you go, that makes so much more sense. If you see God in the flow, you don't fear anything. You don't. But you have to be careful of the heart space, because as an empath, you can go dark. As an empath, you can give too much. You can be a people pleaser. You can say all the right things. You can do all the right things, and you can try, and you can, you know, and no matter what you do, it doesn't change the outcome, because it's not the outcome for you. Maybe that's just what we all need to come to terms with, is not everything that happens the way it happens is right or wrong. It happens because that's the outcome that God has wanted it to be. Because if it's meant to be, it will be. But when you see that happening in the world, and when you understand that totally different, you are crushed at what you know is happening that you can't do anything about. And some people can. Some people can do something about it. You know, and someone posted something and said something to me on my Facebook, and I said, I get that. But the perspective has to matter somewhere in it. And I said, you know, if we can, we should. And I said, you know, there shouldn't be anything stopping us from saying, you know what, that needs to be sown into. You know what, that is worth something. You know what, and I go, people need to be worth something. Because they're worth it to God. So our judgment, and I questioned it this week. I questioned it and I said, if we are, per the Bible, had to be purely perfect to get to heaven, we're never going to get there. If every knee shall bow and every tongue should confess, how in the world are we going to get there if every little thing keeps being judged? Think about that. We are judging and judging and judging. And God says, I am the judge. You are not the judge. I am the judge. And He's clearly showing this throughout the world right now. Clearly showing this. And the war zone is unbelievable. Did everybody wake up with food stamps today? Seriously, asking the question because I don't know. I'm not on them, but I know that's been the big battle, and November 1st is here, and I go, where are we at? What happened? Did we flip? Did we get saved? Are all of our needs met? Or are we in a panic? Are we freaking out because what was told is happening, and we aren't sure what to do with that? I don't know yet. I don't have the answers. I don't know who has the answers. But we're all working through stuff, aren't we? We're working through the fact that we relied on a government that's destroyed us. And now we all are getting the backlash for what history did. And we have a president trying to save us, trying to pull us all out of this, and everybody is working against that current. Not everybody, and I apologize. I say this very broadly, just so that I don't offend people. Just throw me in the mix, you know, but I think that everybody knows where I stand with everything. And if you don't, I'm a Trump person. Absolutely. But I see it biblically. And when I see it biblically, I don't see it blue and red. When I see it biblically, I see it in its demonic form. I see it in its rebellion. I see it in its Babylon. I see it in its, you see it differently biblically. And that's what God is wanting us to show. He's wanting us to say, hey, go back to scripture and tell me how this is aligning now. And I go, yeah, we're doing that. We're trying that. But everybody is very, very scared to teach Revelations. Why? Because nobody understands it. And it's very magical. It's very mystical. It gets very, very spiritual in a way that people are afraid to understand. And that is a fear that continues to stop God's work further. In the New Testament, if we evolve it, we make it further. We bring the infinite further. We bring the sovereignty out further in God. as his people, as his vessels. If God brought his only son down in flesh to teach us the Old Testament, to go into the New Testament, then how we see all of this should be completely supernatural. Jesus in flesh showed us the Holy Spirit. If we debunk religion and we go deeper in this, of the corruption of religion, of a whole bunch of things that we can all keep discussing over and over and over, as believers, we're going to tell you it over and over and over. Because right now, in this time, in this era, in this moment, prophecy continues to unfold. And it's fascinating to so many of us. And you go, holy cow. Did we do this? Did we create this? Are we manifesting it in? Are we alchemizing it? Are we saying this? Are we doing this wrong? Are we? I don't know. But even though some things look scary, like 3-1 Atlas and a whole bunch of other things, we're all going, it's pretty cool to know that there could be more out there. Well, duh! God said that! I go, he's infinite, he's sovereign, he's part of the galaxy, he created the galaxy, he made the galaxy, he is the galaxy, he is the universe, he's beyond. You are all limiting him. We call him because what else are we going to call him? Because in our flesh we see it that way, his, her, Adam and Eve, we see it that way. That's why we say that you were born as a man, you were born as a female. I get it. God is he, God is I, God, he has many heads. He goes by many names. God of universe, God of the galaxies, God of creation. He's got many names, y'all, but he's still one God. But we live in a confusion of understanding that, because in our pride, in our ego, in our bitterness of going, oh no, I've known this for years. It has to be like this. Like there is no other way. Like I know what I know. So I have to be right. Okay. But the minute someone like Charlie Kirk comes along and questions everything and flips the script, the reactions are fascinating to me. That's your limitation of God. Mirror that. Look at that. Recognize that. I am every single day. Every day. Every single day. I am suffering in one way, shape, or form. Every day. And I have to figure out how I'm going to see that differently. Every single day. I've made a choice. I made a choice to follow God. I made a choice to learn from Jesus and follow that path. I made a choice every single day in my humanity to keep going no matter what it's looked like. I did make choices that weren't good. I did do things that are horrific. I did. But I don't, and I won't, and I don't want to anymore. Because I want to be different. I wanted to make a change for myself, for my family, for generations, for the way that we are looking at everything. Why can't we all do that? Well, we should be able to do that. We are the generational curse breakers, y'all. We are we literally are the remnant. We are the remnant. We are the chosen ones. We are the ones that are willing. We are the ones that will go further. We are the ones that understand him. We are the ones that want to understand him. We're the ones that still want a relationship with him. Maybe this is the part where, they talk about the elders are tired. And they talk about how the elders are worn out. And they talk about, we did our part. And we just want to live in peace now. And I get that. I get that with the elders. Like, the fight, the battle, the ground, and you look back at the generations and the suffering that they went through. And you go, man, why does it have to be like this? And God goes, it doesn't, but I don't know how to open up everybody's eyes. That's why I need you all. And he goes, that's why I put you where you're at. You're there to help me. Co-create. Let's go. Let's be. Let's do. God is willing. He's willing to let you in. He's like, if you're a willing vessel, they talk about this. I'm going to go deep because Halloween. So I'm going to go deep on this for a second. Watch vampire movies. They have to be invited in, right? You watch, we put borders up. You have to be invited in. Well, how do you get in? How are we letting you in? Well, I tend to go deep very quickly with people, and it's hard for a lot of people to be around me, and I get that. I do. I am well aware of that. I can't change who I am. I don't want to change who I am, but I do try to chill. I do try to relax. I do, but people are drawn to me differently, and my peeps who are my peeps, they know this. And I go, it's just different. And I, I see Jesus in that. And I just go, God, it's amazing, and I every day he blows me away, you guys. Every single day I'm blown away. And I just know that I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up on the faith and the hope of who God is and what he's doing in it all. The earth shakes, and I go, I know a lot of people are suffering. I know a lot happened in that. And I go, man, Lot's wife, pillar of salt, man. And you go, I get it. You look at the John the Baptist of today, and you look at the preachers today, and you look at what God's doing in it, and how much females had a part in this. And how much that's being questioned, female preachers and where they're at. And, so kudos to all the female preachers out there, because y'all are fighting a battle. I know, and you all should be proud that you're at where you're at, because you stand biblically. You stand on solid ground. I know that for a fact. Women shouldn't preach, and they say that, but I believe that who runs the church, usually as the male, is the head of that, but women can preach in the church. It's just different, and I believe in that, and the head of the household should be the male, so yes, absolutely. And that's why they say, if you're going to do a church, or you're going to open a church, you definitely have to be married, because you have to be yoked and ready for battles that you and your feminine side shouldn't have to, because you have a protector to do that on earth for you. And that's biblical. That's Adam and Eve. Go all the way back, you know? And so, you know, and I go, there are probably things that are hindering me in my ministries. There are probably things that are hindering me in my walk. There are probably things that are, you know, biblically not sound because I'm a single, you know, woman out here doing my thing, you know? And so, I get the struggle, you know, and I'm broke, you know, we're all broke. We're all doing our thing, you know, and I get that, you know, and so hang in there. I don't know how else to word that to people. I don't, for me to even say that is fascinating knowing my circumstances right now, but I'm going to joyfully say that. I'm going to say that. I'm going to go, you know what, God, let's just go. Let's just roll. Like, I'm down. Whatever's coming, let's go. Because we all want to change. We all want it to be better. We all want peace. We're all tired. We're all, you know, broke. And so we just, at this point, I'll just go, that's the only hope, that's the only faith we have right now is God. That's the only way out. Otherwise, we're going to go down that rabbit hole. Otherwise, we're going to go to the underworld. Otherwise, we're going to make bad choices because we just give up and we're just going, this is too hard. This is too much. And then we kick ourselves in the butt later on going, had I known what I know now, I would have done better then. Because I could have made this a lot easier on myself. I could have done this a lot quicker. I could have not sat in this for so long. I could have, you know, but we fight that in our flesh. We fight the urges. We fight the distinctions. We fight the understandings. We fight the what ifs. Every single day, you guys. Sorry, that was a golf cart going by. But I just want to encourage everybody. It's November 1st. You know, we're here. We're doing it. We're trying. We're gonna get through 2025. We're gonna make it through. You know. I look at where I was and where I am. You know, and I could tell you stories that would blow your mind right now, you know, of where I was and where I am. But every day, I get the blessing of waking up. I get the blessing of peace. I get the blessing of deers in my yard. I get the blessing of, you know, seasons. Times change. That happened too. You know, changing the time. I bless that everybody is gonna be all right. I think we are, you guys. I think we are. You know, if we believe that, we hold on to that, and we understand that, we're gonna be all right. Everybody have a blessed day. Love ya.